Hey Lucy, I'm home.
Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. The slant. Yeah, but isn't this the unplugged version? I don't know. I think it's the unplugged version. All right, Polly, let's go.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Welcome back to the Latino Slant. My name is Polly, and make sure you are subscribed. Leave a comment, hit the like, all that good jazz, even an alert because I'm throwing up videos almost every day here on our channel, live every Wednesday night. Okay. To say I'm excited about this video is an understatement because we've been working on covering the Ricardos production for about a year now. From leaked photos from the set to first impressions to reactions of Lucia Arnez and her reaction to the film to more in depth. We have a great playlist. So what I will do at the end of this video is link a playlist to this. But what are we doing today? We are doing a full review of Being the Ricardos. This is a 2 hours and 5 minutes biopic by writer director Aaron Sorkin. Aaron Sorkin is well known for The West Wing, Newsroom, writing for Moneyball, Social Network, so many great written stories. And in this one, he writes and directs. So what I want to do is hit you guys up with the first impressions of this movie before we kind of go into spoilers, and then we'll take it from there. Now, what this biopic does is okay. My first impressions, right? I was absolutely floored by the lead performances by Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem. I was really impressed with the dialogue, the energy of the dialogue between the two, but then also between um, all the characters that we're working on that are really close in working on the I Love Lucy show. That you can see that they have a camaraderie, a bond, um, and that writing from Aaron Sorkin was just so tight. I was so impressed with that. I loved. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I loved the look and feel of this movie. It's such a great looking film. Um, I love that 40s, early 50s glamorous Hollywood vibe. And that's all over this film. So those are my first impressions, especially for a 2 hour drama biopic. I myself felt that the pacing was great. I did see in a big theater. I did pay matinee price, I believe, and I th- I love that I got to see it on a big screen. I know it's not like an action adventure where you have to see it on the big screen. It is now available as the December 21st has passed, available now on Amazon Prime. So I'm going to see it again to get to see it, from my living room. But to see it on the big screen, I just got to see detail, detail from there's a lot of kind of like little clues, little things in the story. Not Easter eggs, I would say, but just you can see it clearly, and it adds to the dramatic effect. So um, those are my first impressions that this film is not your regular, biopic by the numbers. And those are my first also non-spoiler because we will be getting into spoiler territory. Now, let me just let's bring up some images of the some of the cast members. I think it would be really cool for you to see because like what I was saying is I kind of got wrapped up and um forgot about who the actors were in as much as who they were playing, like the actors' names and who they were playing. J.K. Simmons became William Farley. Ariana became Vivian Vance, and besides being fantastic, there's just stuff that I didn't know about the real life people, and they you know that was needed because you see that's I Love Lucy. Fred and Ethel are part of I Love Lucy so much that it was key to this film as well, and they had a big story. Um, so that was definitely a plus. Uh, and of course, let's check out one more image before we go into spoiler territory. And this is a classic image from I Love Lucy that we just all know and love. And this is on their way to California. Um, I picked this image because it's timeless, right? It's one we all remember. We all remember on their way to California. Y yeah, yeah, it's really remarkable too, I will say in first impressions, just what Lucy and Desi were able to accomplish, and what they achieved, and how affected the future of other television shows, but also television history. These guys made television history. That just cannot be denied. And I it was great to get more of that, in the story to really Aaron really dug in and gave us a lot of that, which I loved, which I loved. Now, let's show the chameleons themselves. I mean, the two leads that were just so extraordinary. God, I mean, you know, biopics are funny, and even Nicole Kidman said that this is the toughest role of her career, and this is a woman who's played a lot of things, a lot of different characters, and that says something to where this performance as Lucille Ball, and it makes sense because everyone knows Lucy from the movie, from the television show. Um, but from let me make sure. Let me try to fix that. I can fix that for you guys. There we go. There we go. But for her to take on this woman, and they made her look like Lucy, which was just fantastic. But man, she moved, she was grounded, like Lucille Ball. The same can be said about Javier Bardem's Desi, and we're gonna get to that more. But let's go ahead and hit the spoiler section now. So, Being the Ricardos takes place in 1 week during 1952. They film for 5 days. It goes from Monday till Friday night. Monday, they start the table read at their own studios in Hollywood, and they finish with the start of the performance on that Friday night. What Aaron Sorkin did is that he took true events that happened, and there's three of them. They just happened over the course of a few years in reality in during the I Love Lucy. He put those few years of the 50s, right? Let's say like, the first 5 years, whatever, into a week. That alone, that alone is just amazing storytelling. It's riveting because you're not just like, okay, Monday we hear this, Tuesday it's that. There is that linear thing going on, but we are going we are popping into different timelines of their life from the early 40s to famous moments of Lucy being Lucy on the show, which was killer, which was killer. Um, so there's that. Now, there's three main conflicts that happen during the story and why each day is so important. Monday begins with the announcement that Lucille Ball was a communist during the 30s. Then Lucy and Desi, they have to let Philip Morris and CBS know that Lucy's pregnant. And then the final third one, which is just as important, is Desi's infidelity and how it affects Lucy. Because there's a tabloid that comes out that Desi has been womanizing all over town, and there's a photo, and the front page and all that. So they're juggling all this scandal all within 1 week. The communist thing alone can shut down the production and ruin, honestly, all their careers. The the challenge of being pregnant on television is that it's never happened before on television, and CBS would never allow it. And then, of course, there's the infidelity of Desi Arnaz, which they had established in the 40s. And if you read up, you read that they both were pretty loose with that life, not just Desi, but Lucy as well. And they often were either trying to top on each other as far as their jealousy in real life, or they were, just ripping each other's clothes off because they were kind of, very attracted to each other. Let's just say. So, that's what you get in this storyline. And like I said, it culminates in the production of the show. Ethel and Fred have a fight. That's the name of the episode that they're producing that week. And the reason why that's important is because there is a moment where right before they're gonna go on, maybe about a couple hours before, they get another headline of Lucy being a communist. And it's like the final death, the final nail in the coffin there. But Desi flies into action, and he does some incredible things as far as making calls, taking care of business. And I don't want to spoil that part for you because it's pretty amazing the man that Desi was, how fearless he was, and what a great businessman he was. These two really, really couldn't have done what they did without each other. On the same token, you get an insight into just what a comedic genius, but also a workaholic fanatic Lucy was. Is that if there was a comedic physical bit not right, they would work it and rehearse it until it was. And she had to visualize. She would visualize every potential funny moment. I mean, that was such a treat. If you're a diehard Lucy fan and you know those comedic moments from your favorite episodes, it's there. It's there. Even to where there's this one scene where they're visualizing and talking about the trip to Europe and her going to the grapes of in Italy to to, to study for an Italian film, and she's visualizing her performance in that, and that was just fantastic. So yeah, that's the really the storytelling of Mr. Sorkin is it's the best he's ever been, and this is coming from a man whose work I have a really strong connection with. Moneyball, Social Network, and definitely the first couple of seasons of West Wing. I mean, I'm a mad fan of Mr. Sorkin. So my hats off there to him as well on that. Um and it had almost had to be done this way because it is just a week of in their lives, and yet you had to see what was going on prior to see the power positions of power that was going on behind the scenes. And when I say that, Lucy had such a tough career in the 40s where she was relegated to B-level movies, but when she hit her stride with the radio comedy, and here's a scene right there from the radio comedy, that's where CBS wanted her to become a television star, and she would not do it without Desi. And then, of course, the whole thing with a Latino man with a thick accent would never work. They just kept proving everyone wrong. It was amazing to see. I was like, in just like happy tears to see these two people fight for something that they believe in and win and create television history, like we said. Um, and Aaron really captured that in his storytelling. Another part that I thought was really cool in the storytelling as far as the flashbacks is showing Desi Arnaz, Javier Bardem performing Cuban Pete and Babalu. I mean, I gotta tell you, I was a big, I was, I was like a kid, man, because I grew up with those songs. You would see it performing in "I Love Lucy," all those songs, and then to see him doing that at Ciro's, which was a Hollywood nightclub in the 40s, just being just just that classic, Latino leading man, um, with more dignity than you had ever seen. And you got to remember, with Desi Arnaz and Ricky Ricardo, he really was America's gateway Latino into as far as Latino cultures, and he broke so many stereotypes. He really did. And yet, the real Desi Arnaz was such a passionate proud man who had a huge ego, who took life by the reins and just lived every day. It was just you got that passion of his. You got why Lucy was attracted to him, and their attraction just worked. Because Lucy was so incredibly talented and so smart compared to the women that he was dating at the time. So yeah, you really get all that feeling um, from the storytelling, and yeah, there it is. There it is, right there. Let's get a little bit back here. I mean, even the filmmaking was fantastic. It wasn't overlit. It just had a nice feel to it. And it definitely wasn't like there was nothing hallmark about this story. This story was, you really did see like the good and bad sides of both characters. So yeah, that was great. So now I want to talk about their performances a little bit more, and how these two really were able to completely disappear in their performances. And I really want to go to what Lucy Arnaz, their daughter, said in regards to the film. Is that with Nicole Kidman, look, feel, everything. With Desi and Javier Bardem, she said, "Look, Javier looks nothing like my dad. Profile, none of it. But he captured the essence of Desi. He captured the essence of Desi." And I love that. I was even more, I think when I heard her say that in one of the videos we did, it got me more excited to see the film. And I was not disappointed. Javier Bardem does not disappoint. It's almost, his performance almost puts you to sleep because he's so slick, but then at the end there is a huge payoff in what he does for Lucy, and he does lose his temper once in the story that it's a wonderful payoff, you know, yeah. And again, this was done during one of the days of that week where they're with the writer storyboarding the Italian episode, and you see Lucy looking at the storyboards, and you see her visualizing, "Okay, why is she there? Why is she there? Why are we going to Europe? Why are we going to Europe? What is she well, let's give her something to do. Oh, they want to put in a movie." And it was just the rest was history. The rest was history. So that was, so this was not in the episode of Fred and Ethel fight, but when Fred and Ethel fight, you see even the blocking. Lucy changes the blocking, and you'll see what I mean later on. It's just gave me the chills, man. Ah, yeah, yeah. So another spoiler here, guys. That scene was supposed to be done with their backs to us on the other side of the table, and Lucy turned it around. And she was getting into a lot of kind of like, she was bumping heads a lot with the director on that. Just amazing. So yeah, that's really the main points of so those are the main things I can tell you in regards to their performances, the two leads performances and the story writing. Those elements alone are more than enough to spend 2 hours watching this film. I mean, there is something for everyone in this film. Lucy fans, television history fans, filmmaking, story writing, writer fans, like, it is a masterclass from the top down. And there is really no down because, like I said, even the supporting cast of J.K. Simmons and Ariana are fantastic. The two main, we've heard that they don't like each other, and that's there. There's a nice payoff with that as well. But with Ariana's Vivian Vance is her dealing with her weight and being a funny woman, but not being the best looking woman on I Love Lucy. And there's actually a lot of wonderful moments as far as the challenges that women had to face in Hollywood at being the top of their field. Lucy and Vivian, and even the writer, I believe her name was Madeline Pugh, the challenges they had to face and the bear in the the ground that they broke. They really were the pioneers of female comedian actors, and so we get that insight with Ethel's character. Now with Fred's character, with William Farley, right? We knew that he didn't that him and Vivian Vance didn't get along. Didn't know how old he was, so much older, and he was an alcoholic. So what he had promised Desi was that he would never be drunk while they filmed. So it's like, it was there were some dark tones there with William's character, with JK's performance. Uh and yet he was like Lucy's uncle, like, and they had a great relationship. You had to have a great relationship to perform that great together, but they had some good moments together during the week because he was kind of an old school guy. If you're a commie, get the hell out. He was like really, old school, but his insight to what was going on, he had the best lines. Oh my God, he had some great insight. There was also insight on how to treat Desi with respect because um through everyone's eyes, Lucy ran the show on the set. But really, it's Desi who ran the business, and he just never got that, and that was brought up, and I like that they pointed that out because I also loved how they brought up, and I believe, actually, he brings this up. He brings this up, and whether it's true or not, right? I loved any of the dramatic license that Aaron Sorkin took. I loved it. He says, Desi's got a big ego, and he's a businessman, and having a big ego and coming from where he came from, Cuba, being a Latino man, takes on a different level. I loved how they treated machismo with respect on that level. Of course, there's um, some dark sides to that as far as him being a womanizer, um, but he really loved Lucy, and he really loved what they were doing. It's just he was always, at the end of the day, he was second fiddle to Lucy as far as being a star. But he was an incredible businessman. And William pointed that out a few times in this, and I really appreciated that. All the little moments were golden. So many little moments. So yeah, that's really my take on the two supporting characters. They have plenty of good stuff to do. And here we talked about this is right at the end of the film where Desi gives a speech. There's something really important that happens because I really want you to see this, and I want you to comment. Comment, comment, comment. Let me know what you guys think, because this is fantastic acting at its best, storytelling at its best. Everything that you can think of when in regards to a great entertaining story about people that we know, that we grew up with. It's biopics are kind of like a dime a dozen today, and they're kind of forgettable. And most, and some just don't work, and there's examples of that. This one works. This one shines. So I don't want to give the ending away. There's some beautiful um kind of sad moments at the end. There is some triumph, but because we know the history of the real people, you know what happens in the following years. But this week in the life of the Ricardos, being the Ricardos, it's truly fascinating. It's fascinating how even Lucy and Desi got together, and how they were even able to have this show on CBS, and then have a pregnancy and film the pregnancy. In fact, the episode that had the pregnancy, the birth of little Ricky, was the most watched thing in television history. When they announced the birth of that they were going to, the Lucille Ball was pregnant, they got over 1 million pieces of letter, something that never happened before. And what I'm also going to do in this video, I'm going to connect you to a story by the Smithsonian Magazine, which has great detail on this film and with Aaron Sorkin, because that's where I got some of my information as well after seeing the film. I just can't get enough of it. It's almost just like history. I just want to know more. So that's really it. That's my full review on Being the Ricardos, a fantastic drama biopic starring Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem, J.K. Simmons, and Nina Arianda. Excuse me, her name is Nina Arianda. And written, directed by Aaron Sorkin. I will put in the video right now. I want to put a playlist of all our Being the Ricardos, and then a video with Desi Arnaz, Lucy Arnaz, the daughter, and her reaction to the film. Fantastic stuff. I want to know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you if you are a new subscriber to the channel. Check out more. And if you're a member of the channel, here's your time to shine in the spotlight. Paz. And wherever you're at, keep your slant muy fuerte.
Dices, vas así, la vida por detrás, de un reflejo que después no reconocerás. ¿Qué sabes tú de mí? No sabes ni decir dónde he ido, que ya San